Tashitele to all the Dhamma friends on the live stream. Thank you.
Rinpoche la kukam sam. Rinpoche kukam sam. So, dear Dharma friends all over the world, whoever is connected with us, to considering Rinpoche as a representative of His Eminence Garchen Rinpoche in Europe, would like to welcome Garchen Rinpoche from the whole European Sangha. We are more than happy that His Eminence Garchen Rinpoche accepted our request and will today bestow the precious Kurukulle empowerment. So today is a very auspicious Dakini day in the holy mount Sakadava, and Kurukulle is the female embodiment of enlightened wisdom. So it is really and tendril, the interdependence origination. Tomorrow, on Sunday, Rinpoche will give profound teachings on the six bardos, and the aim of this bardo is the liberation from the ordinary mind with all its delusion. So we are very, very grateful to Rinpoche for these profound and precious instructions, which are coming from his loving heart, vast experience and practice. Rinpoche's blessings is the only medicine to cure our minds. We welcome all lamas, anis, directors of GBI in Arizona, and the organizers for the internet and streaming, and all the translators who are helping the Sangha in 7 languages. So Ina into English, Philip into German, Rocco into Chinese, Susu into Vietnamese, Robert into Polish, Sasha into Russian, and Sofia into Spanish. Lots of blessings and inspirations to all of you. Tashitele.
This meeting is being recorded.
So we will start with refuge and bodhicitta prayer and the short mandala.
San je chu dang co jin chu nan la chan chu bar de dan ne jiao sun qi da ge jin so jin be co nam ji zhuo lan pen se san jin zhen ba xiu san je chu dang co jin chu nan la chan chu bar de dan ne jiao sun qi da ge jin so jin be co nam ji zhuo lan pen se san jin zhen ba xiu.
Until awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings.
Ma nam ka dan nyam be sem jing ta de wa dan de we yo dan de ba jo ra che dong we jo dan da wa ra jo ra che dong me be de wa dan men da wa ra jo ra che ye ren cha dan ye dan da ta nyong lan de ba ra jo ra che ma nam ka dan nyam be sem jing tham jing de wa dang de we jo dang dem ba ra jo ra che dong we je jo dang da wa ra jo ra che dong me be de wa dang men da wa ra jo ra che nye rin cha dang nye dang da we da nyong lan de ba ra jo ra che.
May all mother sentient beings, limitless as space, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion.
So yin bu ju so yin me to ra pe ra le yin ye de jin ba ga sam yon zo la me to nam la Mandala Bardianza Soha Sem Janam Jasambhatanga Loye Seraja Tapa Che Chung Tumong Te Bai Chu Jiang Ho Long Ho De So.
Nita, the Jamim, the Poncherin Bochi, the Poparty, any Anisui, the last of Passaji, so in Bedini, doubling a Taja College with any children about summer, that's any Pasidele.
First, I would like to say Dashi Dele to the Germany, Munich, Germany Center, and led by Drupen Sering Rinpoche, Drupen Parkim, and Anne Sophia, and the rest. And also, I would like to say Dashi Dele to all the Dharma friends from around the world who are joining the live stream.
The Tata Wang the Mambokur, Marangi, Wang Mambokur, the Terrain, Lasam Kurukulle Wangzi, the Romas Abatam Jigata, Wang Dinner, Wang Rate, Larry, some de Yori, they married Sanji, Sanji, Cosum Dani, Sanji Chomdi, the Sanji Chomdi, Cosum Sanji, Command Tom Cosum Yonti or the Chukalam Hata, the use of the Saji Tamse, Gomba Chupa, Charlie, Pekam, the Lista, Tantabri, Lord, the Chupa of your married, Terpe over, I'm Corsa, Pekam, Lord, the Getty, longer, the Lord, Nabanas Zogre, so Karen, the Primas, no bias or Karen, Pinu Karen, Zabari, Jakarta, go to logs over your day. Three zone Kanzala Tinity, so somebody children, Zatana Tini, Lari Pimes or Lari Pass over it. The low corn over the Javayo, my Pinukan over Conibati or Caresium, Zonfila longer on the Tennessee Chuka, the Tower, Javata Jishur, the chick, the Chuka or chick, someone to buy it. They come to buy the Chuka, Kudzam. Chuka Yamchemo, the Java Tamsi, Chuka Shiguri, 3 long Kokami, 3 Zokaji, the Zokalaban, Kangla, Kangder Terra Tertimati, 3 Trabana Manaton to war, sausage Zokinity, Chocolately, long Trinamani, long Categany, Jason Tower, take a tapa de Zaradani, Lodon Yori. This is the one person, flat, this is longer than that. Just not Jetty Roman, I'm sorry, Chuka Yamchim, I'm certainly Jetty Romana, New York and Sajit of the Sea Jatamba, the Joe, Tina, so sometimes you check it down the Tini, the Jetty Roman, Kurukulle, Yore, Peseta, Choco story, the Jetty Roma, to the number. There's a simply Tamsela, Taco German, Taco Kami, Tata Shabni, Madame Manhuan, poor Moni, or a territory, Mankoa at an enjoyer, Sadia at an engineer, Tata Shabni, Sadia and Jomori, Tilicoa, Dagi Nidin at any rate, Tilico Chapa, Tilicoa, Jogori, Tabadania, Jetumbe, Triting, Cordaga, Slata, Costa, Sibini, Jevaio, Tehako, Kitchebori, Tehako, Gary fingers one chicken, fast of children, Jevaio, Tapo Jilla. Oh, there was some Madaba de Ricota, Cacaso, Dora, so, Lenam Cacaret, Tapo Charity, Tabadani Chassel, Tawa, Tamchi, that's we are, Madaba, that's we are, Mary, Data of some Matango.
And today we are receiving an empowerment. And so generally in the world, throughout the world, people receive many empowerments given. And also I have given many empowerments. And so today the empowerment is the Kurukulle empowerment. And sometimes newer disciples think that there's all these different empowerments and all these different deities. But it's not like that, because it is said that a Buddha is an embodiment of the 3 kayas. So when one attains the state of enlightenment, then one possesses all these qualities of the 3 kayas. So the Dharmakaya quality is like space. And within that space of Dharmakaya, the enlightened mind of all the Buddhas of the 3 times is one. To give one ordinary example, a worldly example, for example, it's like electricity. In the end, there's only one such a thing called like an electrical energy. And that is related to the Sambhogakaya. So in the world, electricity can do all kinds of things. Sometimes it can be beneficial, it can also be harmful. But it is electricity that really kind of allows the different countries in the world to move around, to do anything at all. Everything is done really with electricity. And then depending on the individual motivations of people, some use it for beneficial things and others for harmful things. But then in the end, it's still always the same electricity. The essence of that never changes. So there's always the potential, this potential that electricity has to perform certain activities. So then what one does with it, that is up to oneself. So the Dharmakaya is like space, and within that space, within the expanse of the Dharmakaya, it is said all the Buddhas are one, or within the expanse of primordial wisdom, they are one. And so how are they one? So it is said from a female perspective, the Dharmakaya is the great mother. And all the Buddhas are one within this great mother. And then the Sambhogakaya appears, or Nirmanakaya, both are Rupakayas, or form emanations. So then there are various form emanations that manifest out of this Dharmakaya according to the specific needs of sentient beings to be tamed. For example, the Nirmanakayas and Sambhogakayas, they manifest anywhere in the 6 realms of samsara in the individual forms of those beings. The Sambhogakaya manifests like a rainbow in the sky and benefits mainly those individuals, those beings with pure karmas. And so today's empowerment, the deity of today's empowerment is a Sambhogakaya and is also an emanation of Tara. And ultimately, therefore, also an emanation of the Dharmakaya, the great Dharmakaya mother. And the Buddha also himself expressed so many different names of Tara, around 100 names of Tara. Or, for example, there are the 21 verses of praise, of homage to Tara, and Kurukulle is one of those 21 too. So she is an emanation of Tara, appearing to benefit sentient beings. From a pure perspective, also this emanation represents a union of method and wisdom. And normally, from a pure perspective, everything becomes this union. From an impure perspective, a samsaric perspective, there is the ordinary union between the male and female, and due to the attachment that creates samsara. So this union, this impure union, is what creates samsara. But the pure union of method and wisdom creates Buddhahood. So in samsara, the union is impure because of a dualistic perception of self and other. And then that leads to attachment. And then samsara proliferates. So today's empowerment, it is important to understand, first of all, the relationship between the deity from whom you receive the empowerment and yourself, so the person who is receiving the empowerment. And the benefit of understanding that relation is that when you understand it, then you know that if you receive just a single empowerment, you are actually connecting to all the deities, the pure illusory form of all the deities. From an impure perspective, from an ordinary perspective, there seems to be just separation, all the individual beings in the 6 realms of samsara. And we have different hopes, and we have different perceptions of things. And from that perspective, we will not be able to comprehend or bring everything into a single essence. Only when we see it from a pure perspective of how it really is, then we are able to bring it all into a single essence. So in the beginning, think in this way.
이 대회는 당바 산지에더니 왕그 주제 관계는 토마더니 딱도다 선지 자체머리지 딱도다 선지 이제송고 동강이되는 잡수 로고가 되더니 대다지 딱바르지 눈이 쏟아다 또 오나더니 산지에다 줄라 또 오고요 대회는 되니 권초성을 잡수로는 이 람디 그래서 그 드림에다가 되게 산지 좀 뒤에 된 말이 대회 권초성을 잡수로니 이 잡수로 동을 가리고서 샘지바디 가리 나지 니지 따뜻한 코레리를 와도 타제도 나완디나 근데 나지 니지는 지는 코아다 송거리 대니 몰았더니 이스메 바라다 먹고도 사정 샘지디 마남 카다 녀베 샘지 탐지게 동도 적고 삼네 제고 가리 이 샘지 그쪽 맞지 건데 나 요말 대사들이 잡수 문이 좋아도 샘지바들이 이 샘지바들 가리 빙거더니 이나라게 삼태에서 그 뱅기오리 선진 탐지 나지는 코와도 잡으리 차롱 따버리 때려 주고 거리 삼태에서 주다가 랑나들이 랑다내시나 랑지 동원이 저도 사속 습지 되게 예다면더니 와그 주셔를 줬고 때 샘지바들 쫓임버리 선진 만남 가다냐 선진 탐지 상 되니 와그 주셔를 줬고 요래
So according to the Buddhist practice, whenever we receive an empowerment or we teach the Dharma, whatever actually practice we engage in, we always start with taking refuge and cultivating the motivation of bodhicitta. That's the foundation. It's most important. And why is it so important? So for the refuge, in order to realize how things really are, we need to rely on the Buddha and the Dharma to understand, and then we realize. And so that's the reason why we take refuge in the three jewels. The Buddha showed the path, just like shining a torch, shining some light to how things really are. And what's the actual purpose then of taking refuge? So refuge, after having taken refuge, refuge is followed by the motivation of bodhicitta. And the reason why refuge is followed by bodhicitta, or really the purpose of refuge is bodhicitta, is not because we wander in samsara, we have not realized how things are because we cling to this dualistic existence of self and other. This is what creates the appearance of separation and the various sentient beings in the 6 realms of samsara. So it all comes down to this dualistic perception of self and other. And the antidote to that is, first of all, the relative bodhicitta. So therefore, begin with thinking, I must accomplish the benefit of all mother sentient beings. Because the moment you think that way, you're not thinking about yourself. So the actual refuge really actually is to cultivate bodhicitta. And the benefit of cultivating bodhicitta is that, first of all, when you cultivate compassion, love for others, that is what benefits them. Because self-grasping is what creates samsara. Self-grasping is like an ice block that needs heat to melt, and that heat or warmth is love. So you're helping others, and also your own self-grasping diminishes if you cultivate love. And so that's why it is said it accomplishes the dual purpose of others and oneself simultaneously. So that is bodhicitta. So therefore, in the beginning, it's very important to take refuge and then cultivate bodhicitta. So also in this case now, please enter the empowerment with the thought of wishing to benefit all sentient beings, all mother sentient beings.
드리다가 거하고 라지들이 라지를 20바지 들이 이 시간 아주 차디요래 들이 탐지되는 것도 거사가 로마 성제다 가리를 마미베 메토고 사운다고 들들이 설리의 중앙아리 난세는 유모망아 요래 유모한테 매일들이 상황신가를 미용고요래 들이 뒤에서는 민바스 발 민지적 왕성 들이 민지적 왕 들이다가 다음에 그래서 소소 다들 나와라 들이 봐라 그 나와다 강나 강들 때를 동바들이 루타망고 연구요래 돼 동문te 타마 쪽발해야 돼 나한테는 때려지는 상속세고 라게 세면 제타우는 나 예수님 되더니 민이 답부들이 자송답을 민연구요래 때문에 버서들에서 일단은 regime logic 세계의 인지
And the deity from whom we receive the empowerment is called a wisdom being. And a wisdom being is a manifestation of the 5 kinds of wisdom. And then the disciple who receives the empowerment, and they are still like an unripe flower, like the seed of a flower. So our ordinary external body comprises the 5 elements, and our inner mind, within our inner mind, now there are the 5 afflictive emotions. When these afflictions mature, they mature into the secret 5 wisdoms. And in order to mature, we receive the maturing empowerment. So today's empowerment is a maturing or ripening empowerment. And so because we perceive things in a separate way, various sadhanas, various deities appear in order to benefit beings according to their specific needs. But we have to understand that ultimately they all have the same meaning. And so if you engage in practice on the basis of bodhicitta, then your body, speech, and mind will mature into the pure, illusory, rainbow-like form of the deity. So the empowerment is for the purpose of maturing the mind. And so next I will read the history of Kurukulle.
녀선바 Kurukulle 미미 마미 기사나 연세 태양 라데 드럼리 왕지 드마시바 드마니 적 적고 조본자 제도지 주단이래 설레송을 하면네 가도 마시 사기만 다사게 라빠마 어버딱에 작전지 내가 고마상진네 이제 긴스모 왕듯이 기스모 저타로본이지로 변세 로봉 때문에 자가나 자보니지로 봐시 롬주 같은 제와요 봐라 좀 셔도 마음에 나지마시바 좀 치와다 유행 마세베 좀 잡고 좀 잡고 왕的사회人사회 기모 총들이 범위적에 잡고 왕的사나 세의 신세 세와다 세지 나한테 제가 좀 법에 좀 전에 말한 것이 이남 냠니 잠sor도에 레이자 보고도 저세 세 잡거나 잡부 총만데 인자로 냠니 케바소만나 로지셰베 범위제 부셰세베 너무 regime 좀 너무데 분이 잡부 샤르 똑싱 선랍시베 초통문 것도 더 로봉시지로 봐다 사람들 라미 마주 유래 뭐라지 잡고는 트레인지 바바니 소소가 띠디 마분 청와당 띠디 마분 청와당 게 세와 차쪽되나 로아쪽라 홀로 저점에 생기 상태 왕들 세바 송번대에 내 유바다다 라마지 바람에 그게 싸벨람 파도 주디 랑게 싸벨람 마셔사티니 잡지 콘소 특징이 뭐 셔더니 거기더니 이 이바 토기오레 트리티 데레
So the history of the Kurukulle empowerment. This deity belongs to the Tara family and is referred to as the subjugating Tara. She is renowned as the principal one in the mandala of the 21 Taras. The Hevajra Tantra says, the goddess born from a tree is red and has 4 arms. She holds an arrow and a bow and an utpala flower and a hook. If you simply visualize her, you will gain control over the 3 worlds. Her sadhana was written by the Acharya Sahaja Lalita. In the past, this master was a wealthy and mighty Indian king named Sahaja Lalita. He was widely known for his exceptionally large entourage of queens. Once he was separated from the main queen for a long time. Finally, the queen sent her maid to town to find a magic spell with the power to magnetize the king. At the market, the maid met a girl who gave her a bowl of food. The girl said, "Offer this enchanted food to the king. This will surely make him return." The maid returned and presented the food to the queen, but the queen was suspicious. Thinking that the food might be poisoned, she threw it away into the ocean. The food then fell into the hands of the Naga king, enchanted him instead, and they had a child. The rumor spread and came to the attention of the king. He returned home at once, intent on punishing his wife, thinking that she had been unfaithful. She explained the story, and the king summoned the girl who offered the food to the palace. The girl, who was an emanation of Kurukulle, appeared before the king and blessed him. Thus he obtained common and supreme cities and became renowned as the Acharya Sahaja Lalita. This sadhana belongs to the mother tantras of the Anuttara Yoga Tantras. In the Tantras it says, if 100,000 kings appear ordinary next to the wrathful lady, even 100,000 kings appear ordinary next to the wrathful lady. In the Kurukulle Tantra it says, if you recite 60 million mantras with a mala made of red sandalwood, you will become the wheel-turning king of the 6 realms and tame all sentient beings. Oh, and Rinpoche said regarding the lineage, so he himself had received this lineage from one of his root gurus, His Eminence Gunchok Tupte Ningbo.
로주 책는랑이 오 다데 왕데 게데 사레스 다들 체디체데 다기 니디다 게데 냥니 게르테 중사 용진이 안 정고요리 동네 가래 냥니 제고래 되는 데다 또니가 돈은 제외 랑낭 왕드 이낭세데 농송 랑가 남도다 뉴마바데 라왕데 추이베나 나도 고는나 드리테 세나와답제티 저거다 호초들 라나왕데티 기침모요에 라나와들레들이 나도다니 뭐 왕드세 바르더니 사데들이 아장 나시고데 이시게람지 이시게 유모하는 거는 드세나와 틀레테다고 누구요마니 태가를 드리는 다다 책들을 떼니 오 다치랑 이제 코르사와도 떼리테시나 드리테라 양 중용데 닝한 용요래 그래서 하 동시바데 땡사보레 데이터 설모당에 이제다 루마리에서 냠민께네 이쪽은 나또데 유모가들이 라왕은 도와지 제니 드리지 센트럴에 생긴게 동시에 봐라 내 서더들 이노서더 냠민당나 되야 보여래.
So now hearing this story about Kurukulle, so then so then you might think that maybe directly just focus on the words and think that, oh, this is a deity where I can, through this deity, I can magnetize or bring someone under control. So there might be a tendency to think in a very worldly way about how can I get something from this. And this is because we see things in this dualistic way, because there is this perception of self and other. And so if you practice a deity with that motivation, then there will be both qualities, but also faults. So how should you actually approach the practice? It should be connected to the nature of emptiness. And so what is bringing under control or kind of overpowering, magnetizing, then really accomplishes is you gain control over your own perceptions, and you outshine the perceptions of others. And so what that means is that you bring under control your own thoughts, your own afflictive emotions. So that's actually most important. And then when you bring under control your own afflictions, then you're outshining others. Then you're also able to help others bring their afflictions under control. So that is the meaning of that. So that's most important. First, to subjugate and to overcome your own afflictions, your own thoughts. And so in that sense, this particular deity is extremely precious. It is wisdom that controls the afflictive emotions or subjugates them. And then as kind of a byproduct of that, having subjugated your own afflictions, then the specific enlightened activities of the deity will then just naturally emerge. But then if you just approach it from like a very literal way, you just listen to those words, or it's magnetizing, and you just use it for some samsaric, ordinary activity, then qualities might come, but also there will be many faults. And so understand that the teachings of the Vajrayana, the secret mantra, are extremely profound, and approach it from this perspective when you engage in practice, and view this practice as a way to bring under control your own afflictive emotions and thoughts, and not necessarily on the outer level. And once you have done that, then just naturally the outer enlightened activities will manifest for the sake of others. So what you should have in mind when engaging in this practice is the accomplishing the benefit of others.
Rana Beano, Anna Hova Biara, Andrea. Rang Kolokan Suda, Toka, Rarika Saunimo, the Majas, so to get the Tajum Ball, so things of the Jokana, and the Labri of water, the Dodges High. What you saw that on your Dodgy Tawa, the Zagapata, the Dodgy diet of Sorodi. She may be good, but tell me about the way of the budget was so called your own, but that's a good bit of the general channel, some wrong over that, like a home. 다음에랑 근데 로차발에 대기서 왕고 갑자기 남가라 소주 두성 상제 탐지 작적도 들리들이 홍진의 패밀리 제탑지 그 왕고요 좀 소와다 봐본 이제 강요 제가 되는 소와다는 통원양도 왕주요 선로도 청아 왕주요 선 대답을 받기는 지진나 왕주.
So we have already completed the preliminary activity of offering a mandala. And so now when you're receiving the empowerment, think that all the Buddhas of the 10 directions in 3 times and come into the space in front of you, massing like clouds, like gathering clouds. And think that from these Buddhas you receive empowerment. And also think that when you supplicate to receive the empowerment, that actually all sentient beings in the 6 realms of samsara supplicate together and receive the empowerment together. So think in this way when you repeat the supplications.
산지를 신지서 왔다면 산지에 들려더니 마치고 받다더니 신지께 저는 신지섭제 투기서 그요지 이때 다 하고 듣고요 말까요 가서 레드 박찬 탑수는 산지구스 좋네요나 통투고 매에 대다서는 랑 초가 초가 찌나 맞지는 애들이 랑 레드 박찬 투발이 상랑을 욕자야고 제거래 산지구스 패고요래 산지 폐지 담색, 생지 담색, 소화 됩지 담색, 생지 담색, 산지 담색이 소화 담으면 폐지 매봤대, 지 담색이 이제 하고는 소소 대담 매봤더니 산지를 소화 담비 연구요래, 이치때 뭐지요래, 기치 뭐요래.
And so me conferring the empowerment to you makes me be like a translator who kind of transmits the empowerment from the Buddhas onto you. And so the one who confers empowerment also therefore must possess bodhicitta. And when the Buddhas of the 10 directions in 3 times are supplicated, are invited, they actually come here. And that is because they regard all sentient beings just like a mother sees her only child. So when we supplicate them, then they will come because they always regard us with great compassion. It's like a child crying for its mother. The mother will compassionately come. It is just that we are not aware of it because we are too obscured. Our layers of karmic imprints, of karmic obscurations are too thick. So we are unable to see that they are actually there. But they are there whether we feel that or not. And if you don't feel it, then just recognize that this is because my karmic obscurations are too thick. and then also confess them. But think that these Buddhas, the Buddhas actually are there. And that is actually their samaya. The Buddhas and the beings both have a samaya. So it is our samaya, our commitment to supplicate them, and then it is the Buddha's samaya to follow that supplication. So if they wouldn't come after being supplicated, then they would not follow their samaya, but they do. And therefore, there is no doubt that they will come. And so if you know that, then you will also feel inspired to supplicate. Then you will really develop some trust, and that's really most important. Embodiment of omniscient wisdom, who utterly purifies the wheel of existence through your kindness, please grant me the principal deity of the precious treasury you are setting forth today.
Gela, Ji Rang, Sangje, Sangche, Yi Zong, Sangje, Chudang, Somcho La, Changche, Bade, Dak Jam Chi, Rang Ji, Tuni, Rab Drup Sir, Sangche, Senne, Parji, Changchub, Choge, Senne, Jibjine, Semji, Tamje, Dagi, Rundayer, Chanchuk, Chungcho, Yiong, Parji, Rola, Pincer, Sangye,
I take refuge in the three jewels. I confess all misdeeds and non-virtues. I rejoice in the virtues of all beings, and I hold the Buddha's awakening in mind. Until attaining awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly in order to fully accomplish the purpose of others and myself. I give rise to bodhicitta, having given rise to the mind of supreme awakening. I welcome all beings. I will engage in the supreme bodhisattva conduct that is pleasing to all. May I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings.
Dritela Thomas Lugebacha, John Chedo, Quayang, Shop, Gongsusor, Dala, Jomdi, Regime, Kuzong Togi, Jisanawa, Sadosor.
Then first, in order to receive the form empowerment of the generation stage, in order to purify the imprints, the ordinary imprints of the body. And please repeat the following. Master, please heed me. Please bestow upon me the empowerment of body, speech, and mind of the Bhagavati Kurukulle.
도제 좀봐 공수소 나네 로라 핑두면서 조친 출라 소leb지 사제 이시 기드소.
Then in order to receive the actual empowerment of the body, please repeat the following. Vajra holder, please heed me. For the benefit of beings, I supplicate you, exalted one, please cause the mudra of wisdom to arise.
나도 다 사람하고 말하고 심지어 내 거리 들시바고서 빼마마 빼다는 시바고서 생각나는 건 내게 신티고 되들이 그래서 와티 들이제 이제 다긴 세제가 감들이 라랑들이 리지브 거봐 라는 거 다득다운한테 거봐라는 거서 그 람스타 맥던 뜻에서 제르는 거 소리
Focus your attention single-pointedly and visualize red Shri syllable on top on the pollen bed of a red lotus flower, and just focus on that single-pointedly with eyes closed. And at some point when I ask you to open your eyes again, if you have prepared a picture, an image of Kurukulle, then at that time, directly, instantly look at this image, and then again close your eyes and have it appear in your mind. This is the beginning of the generation stage that purifies the ordinary imprints of the body.
does remember he was a young timbers of the timber judge. The drum you go by, you mean a shut the essence of the shut the 7 margina. Then you said you was the woman will come to you,
So if you have an image, look at that image now, and if and sustain this vision, and if not, then just continue to visualize the red tree syllable, and just have it not leave your mind, and think that its light fills up your entire body with red light. So then during the bestowal of the empowerment, so as you see, the empowerment is bestowed through the vase, but this is just symbolic, me holding the vase. Actually, you should think that the inconceivable number of gods and goddesses appear in the sky, in space, all holding empowerment vases in their hands, and appearing as many as there are disciples, as many as there are sentient beings in the 3 realms of samsara, and they all confer empowerment upon all the sentient beings. So that is the actual meaning of the empowerment. So the actual empowerment is really conferred through the Dharmakaya and the Sambhogakaya from space. And I am just like an illustration, an example of that. Being thus initiated, the karmic imprints and defilements accumulated with the body and all grasping at them are purified, and you have received the complete form empowerment. You are now empowered to practice the generation stage of visualizing your body as the deity, the union of appearance and emptiness. As a result, you will have the fortune to accomplish the Nirmanakaya. So you should continuously remember the deity over and over again, again and again. Think of the deity. So the principle is the same in terms of forming a habit. So normally we just think me all the time, and by thinking this over and over again, the karmic imprints of the body become stronger and thicker. But instead, if you all the time, continuously, again and again, if you think of the deity, bring to mind the deity's form, then you're actually purifying these karmic imprints. So that is actually a very significant instruction.
Also, we did not go to the Soda Monday. Doji, Zamba, Gong So So, Dani, Rola, Pendon To, Haji, Angor, Yi Shi Che, Mutra, Derva, Dala To.
The next, in order to receive the speech empowerment, please repeat. Vajra holder, please heed me for the benefit of beings. Please grant me the great wisdom of the mantra empowerment, which is the source of all accomplishments.
Ninkala, so it the gonna titani, not the chip, Charlie Yon Core, go with him, and had the dinner, this is the same as Simon. Three take the Unibody was chuckle, take a key, three, Pacha Charon with the collection, three, something get on the way, three, of the way. Ma the ping, ma Sashibado, ma sorry, ma Charity, sorry, your door, take it, Sanji Chupa, Sanji Dudong. 탐체 연구들이 막고 그때다 랑코들이 랑코 평시와 강리 마들이 마 라시방 마 상랍시와 마 무접도 시바 송 이제 당하들이 평지들이 데이터들이 요걸 제기들이 문제들이 최고 박차지 작업 박차 조연배들이 마그 작업 박차다 진이 깎게 이거 박차다 이 삼년제 제기들이 세부 박차다 다소는 박차되면도 생문이지 라고 생들랑 사제에 하고 그래 라고 생들 대생이 뭐지 봐 이제 사제에 이제 다 로버 박차돼 사제 좀 되게 온다 로버 좀 해야 돼 로버 좀 가래 다 당신은 나오냐 봐 들마를 나 되지 되지 자동이 되지 똑같이 단나도 뭐 되게 박차 양다양도 좋고요 대 탑재들이 화당 산속 센터를 되니 드링네 처럼도 다가도 다 속터들이 센터가리 다 이시지 다다 다기니지 남시지들 라이시라 이 생부 박차 다는들이 세는 이메와 하고 요래 이 사당 나다 하적 지지 뭐 요래지
So we can think of the form of the deity clearly in any given moment, but then we can't really stay with it. It doesn't stay. We need, because we haven't stabilized it. So to stabilize it, that we just focus, meditate mainly first on the seed syllable of the deity at the heart, and think that it is surrounded by the deity's mantra, fiercely spinning around it. And then with that in mind, you recite the mantra. If you recite mantra, then it is through the mantra recitation that you actually incorporate the deity into your mind so that it always stays there. And eventually it will become stable, and then the deity always is in your mind. So think of it as in purifying or melting an ice block. These karmic imprints are like ice blocks that slowly, as you recite the mantra, slowly become purified or melt away Also, they melt away through the radiating of light, the light of love and compassion, and gathering it back. In the benefits that explain the benefits of mantra, it is said that you should understand the mantra to be the deity. And so it is said that if you just recite a single mantra, then that mantra creates a deity. And then the deities are sent forth, and they make offerings to all the Buddhas, and they purify the obscurations of sentient beings. And that is actually related to the spinning of a prayer wheel, and that is why the prayer wheel is so beneficial, because all the benefits of mantra are contained in the prayer wheel. So, for example, it represents the deity itself, and also it represents the blessings of the deity. It also represents the siddhis, or the accomplishments. So all the benefits of mantra come from spinning a prayer wheel. And mainly the power of mantra is that it purifies the ordinary imprints of your speech. And so actually these imprints are in the mind, but really mostly the imprint, this obscuration, this thinking that arises is because of speech. And through the mantra recitation, the mantra purifies these imprints. And the visualization of the deity's form purifies the ordinary imprints of the body. And if you cultivate love and compassion, that purifies the imprints of the mind. And so actually all that is to be done is to remove these layers of imprints. That's all there really is. If they are not here, then the mind itself already is Buddha. So understand that you possess Buddha nature. And that means that inherently your true nature is already Buddha, but it is obscured by temporary obscurations. So the Buddha said beings are obscured by adventitious stains. And so what this adventitious stain is it begins with thinking of me. There's this I, and then that's my body and my speech and so on. And so because of this, we develop these thoughts that conflate our ideas and the actual thing. And then due to our interpretation of things, we develop many different thoughts, a chain of endless thoughts. And in this way, by proliferating thoughts endlessly, we are over and over again creating more layers of karmic imprints. So if you recite the mantra and you visualize the deity on the basis of bodhicitta, then these layers of ice-like layers become melted, become purified. So have some awareness of that this is what is actually happening when you are reciting the mantra. And so then once you have purified your mind, so how is your mind then? And that state of mind is called primordial wisdom. So right now in the impure state, and we call it the consciousness, and that is the state where we perceive a duality of self and other. And when these imprints become purified, then basically you then experience that everything, your mind actually is inseparable from all, is non-dual. So that is the reason why the mantra recitation and the visualization of the deity are very important.
사지 장매 박은 도와도 소시 속지르더니 고소 답을 요상 심지 좀 주면체 나를 그도 주면체들 나를 그도 가리 semko만 대바체들이 랑게 다진이디 똑같당도 sem말이 다진 장도요 삼니제때 삼바다 니제때 대바지들이 sem게 무보탄 sem에 박차 다진 레용 박사 탐들 다 나오요래 나를 무덤 좀 매체 지발에 너가 대파다 니제니 대거들이 선거를 받았고 요래 그랬대왜 주민치 봤음들이 땡땡 디삼적 뒤에 공무송하고 주민들이 평 체크해 때 라코르로 평 때 갖고 무슨 공부 서로들이 다 라코 공대나 들이 그때서 라고 좀 롱아 이수도 받게 좀 하더니 같이 머리
In the tantric scriptures, it says that now the mantra garland brings an uninterrupted, an ongoing offering to all the Buddhas. And so actually the same is accomplished by spinning a prayer wheel. However many mantras it contains, with each rotation that many deities go out. And they go out through the force of faith, the three kinds of faith. The clear faith, the longing faith, and the trusting faith. And as they go out with faith, they make offerings to all the Buddhas continuously. And then also, secondly, it is said that as they go out, they also continuously purify the obscurations of sentient beings, then assuming the form of love and compassion. So when they go out to sentient beings, then these emanations of love and compassion, the light of love and compassion, then appears in the various forms of sentient beings in the 6 realms and looks after them. So think of it in this way when you're spinning a prayer wheel. So that's the second benefit. And then the third one is that through spinning the prayer wheel or the mantra garland also accomplishes the continuous siddhi or attainment for yourself. And what is the continuous attainment or the continuous siddhi? It is that when you cultivate faith in the Buddhas and compassion for sentient beings, then your own self-grasping, your dualistic perception, all afflictive emotions become purified. When you cultivate compassion for others, self-grasping becomes purified. So when you cultivate, in brief, faith and love and compassion, that is what purifies the karmic imprints of holding this external world, all appearances, to possess any true concrete existence. Faith and compassion then purify all your karmic imprints, your afflictive emotions, all self-grasping. And this is how your own accomplishment comes about. It is the siddhi, an uninterrupted siddhi. So in brief, if you have faith and if you have compassion, the obscurations of your mind will become purified. And so this is then how these 3 continuations, according to the tantric scriptures, continuously arise, accomplish benefit. And so again, the same benefit is accomplished if you are spinning a prayer wheel. And that is why spinning a prayer wheel is so precious. So if you're not able to always visualize, meditate on the mantra garland, you can just spin a prayer wheel. And by spinning a prayer wheel, you simultaneously practice virtue of body, speech, and mind in a single instant, in one moment. And that's why it's a very precious practice.
제담 뭐가 대선을 드는 남도 유치라고 그래.
And so now visualize that from the sky, from space, seeds, mantra syllables fall down, just like rain falling down. And when you repeat the mantra, think that now you have received the mantra Om Kurukulle Soham that begins to circle around the Shri syllable at your heart. So think at that time, now I have received the mantra Garland, and think that now it circles around that syllable continuously. It's always there. And so first it circles slowly. And then if you meditate on this over and over again, it becomes faster and faster to the point where you're not even able to visually perceive it any longer. It's so fast that you can't see it anymore, but it emits a natural sound that is produced from the fast movement. So it's just like in an airplane, when the engine of an airplane starts to spin. At some point you can't see it any longer, but you can only hear the sound that is produced through the spinning. And so if you practice it in this way, then it will be easier to immediately think of the mantra Garland whenever it comes to mind. So think that eventually it spins so fast that it gives off this a natural sound comes from the spinning, like a humming sound that naturally emerges from the mantra. And at this point, you will be able to bring to mind the visualization at any moment. And so in this way, the more you are able to visualize this way, practice this way, you are purifying the afflictive emotions and those karmic imprints in the mind. And so for this reason, practice this continuously.
Chomdi Dala Salachi Dala Goar Zedoso.
Conquerors, as I have become your disciple, please take me under your care.
Chomdi Dala Salachi Dala Goar Zedoso.
Being thus initiated, the karmic imprints and defilements accumulated with the speech and all grasping at them are purified, and you have received the complete speech empowerment. You are now empowered to recite the deity's secret mantra, the union of sound and emptiness. As a result, you will have the fortune to accomplish the Sambhogakaya.
Doji Zamba Wong So So Dani Rola Ping Zong De Ba Wo Doji Lop Bung Ji Lom Cho Ding Jin Ji Do So.
Then in order to receive the mind empowerment, please repeat, Vajra holder, please heed me for the benefit of beings. Courageous Vajra master, please cause the samadhi of the supreme mind to arise.
감 도저히 되는들이 빠고지 섬진 저가는 문제고 직장이 뭐 말이 들이 저가는 이제 그 요래 들이 세고 내려오는데 하고성성은 생문에들이 제시요 말이 남갔다거나 들이 제시 미나 되니까 가려 이제 그들 제시 미장 나지 니지 박차라 되니 레게득들이 저기 홀로들 빠르게 대양자 살로는 먹게벨레들이 등에 용한 거요래 다 레집들이 쉐레 뭐데 새로 시접해 와야 하고들이 빠고도를 보는데 세고 내려오는데 새들이 시접은 없죠 꼭 강디들이 산제라 양말 상제해주고 양말 성소로 내거도 가는 사제 살살 때 치죠 말이더니 죽어도 안 갔다 와들이 새로 제시 배배도 오는데 얘네들이 레좀 제트기 시험도 없었는데 말이 배서 말이 미소자와 시당이 소를 받다 주바 공성 그 싹버드 제시 배배도 온토나 레좀 제라들이 너무 먹어라 이 박차들이 다 박차들이 니지 우지 미라 니지 미라티 박차들 말람다 동토고요래 얘네들이 새로 제시 배배도 온토 때를 빠고 되더라고요 에 그때랑이 때다를 때 제시 배배도 온들 레 박차들 말람다는 통나 이 빠고 차고요 레지 그리 제 세부 내려다 다 사자치 본고 사자치 보는 sem랑게 내려 맞지 봐세 제시 배배 센테 하고 거래 남도 유니티는 뭐 바르데
So here in this supplication we said the courageous Vajramaster. So the Vajramaster is courageous. And why is he courageous? Because ordinary beings are all afraid of death. There is no one who is not afraid of death. That's our greatest fear. But someone who knows the nature of the mind knows that the mind actually cannot die. The mind transcends birth and death. It is like space. And that's why there is no fear. There's nothing to be afraid about. And now if one doesn't understand that, if one cannot see that, it is because one perceives dualistic existence of self and other. And there are many karmic imprints in the mind. And therefore we cannot see that we actually don't die and we are not born. Because of these imprints are just like a film, like a movie, that are stored and that are in a mind and that are projected to us. And then it's like we are kind of watching the film that is projected out of our own mind, and then it is a real experience. Then we actually experience suffering. But when one knows the mind, then it all becomes the same. That's why one becomes courageous or fearless. The mind is always the same, whether one attains enlightenment or one still lives in the three lower realms. So the mind can never cease to be. That is the space-like Dharmakaya. That is what the Buddhas have realized, that the mind transcends birth and death. And still, even though they have realized that, karma is still extremely important. So to regard karma is very important. Actually, it becomes even more clear. Milarepa had said that the root of the lower realms is anger. Therefore, practice patience, even at the cost of your life. So even though one might have realized that mind does not die, is not born, one still considers karma, if one doesn't want to suffer, that is. So, however, someone who understands that there is no duality, even though things still manifest due to karmic imprints and so on, one will be able to see it all just like a dream. One knows that it is all not real, the mind actually is never born and it never dies. And this is where this courage comes from knowing that the mind is never born and it doesn't die. And so therefore all these various appearances and all kinds of difficulties and so on, whatever does arise, one is able to see it just like a dream, not so real. And this is what makes one become fearless or courageous. And so therefore, to see that, first you have to see the nature of the mind. You meditate in a state of Mahamudra, an uncontrived state where you don't alter anything. And through such abiding, you will see the mind that transcends birth and death. And you will see that this endless chain of thoughts, that is impermanent.
그러니까 로보나 사베도가 손에 오는데 길라야 다가 보는데 길라야 됐음 바쁘 보가다 기와서 저 사랑도 와서 하는 상호 상식이도 모두 빠르게 봤어 로만라서를 이스라한테 로만을 이스라한테 좀 뒤에 집에 가서 또 예매돼 좀 받아 집에 물론 이게 다 뜨는 냐봐 요도 이제 라이시 바지들이 다들 제시 매번 셈때 가리들 남도 탐제 땅 잘sem사동 남가다 남도 매번 셈때리 사자지 뭐도 송 사자지 또 탁탁 차들 제약을 셈 람데 줘야 되죠 남도 탐제 땅을 셈사와 하고는 어디 제시요 말이 철저하요 말이 파치져요 말이 셈남과 체면이 말하기 셈남과 체면 남과 제시면 말이 대하고 제시면 또 고하가 고래라고요리 진짜 다 남도 탐제다로 셈도 쪼고 공자 그래.
So this mind that is beyond birth and death. So what is this mind really, the state of mind? It's the state of mind that is free of all thinking, of all thoughts. And the mind that is free of all thinking is like space, but clear. So it is clear and empty, like space. And that itself, that is the mind beyond birth and death. It is the mind that is without thinking, the thought-free mind. It's just that. When we are introduced to the nature of Mahamudra, it is said on the ultimate level, you recognize it when, so it says there, without a single thought, decisively look at your ultimate nature, look at your true nature. So without a single thought in the mind, you look at your mind. And that itself is the mind that transcends birth and death. Milarepa also said that there is no difference between mind and space. That this is what you see when there is no thought in the mind. Actually, it's quite easy to understand, to see this mind that is beyond birth and death. Because all it is the mind that is free from thinking. So that is the mind that you have to, the state of mind that you have to find. And you find it if you meditate.
Monkey knew the Bashi, that is all Sadamata, Hawaii, given Todi Choromota, get the body, and you think of it. That is about that is the young That Jesus now, he the going is up, but the map of chat and did it about that. Took the Jesus now, Maria took same light, took the wrong, you start tongues from Yoga and Magomala one. Never took the book about it to say by you know.
Being thus initiated, the karmic imprints and defilements accumulated with the mind and all grasping at them are purified, and you have received the complete mind empowerment. You are now empowered to meditate on the nature of the deity's mind, the union of clarity and emptiness. As a result, you will have the fortune to accomplish the Dharmakaya.
Saturday, not to send this our heart or territory. Tony just me, you, me, die, you some send Nakata child, that's same little theory, Sachi theory, Zofi theory, Wama theory, Tato, Sajachi, Taki, they have water, did that, time same tongues on the day, Tonga, Sanjay, shake your day, Malari, best on the Sorry, Sanjay, Mani, Rang sending you to. 사제랑 그 세우더니 하고래 했지. 그래서 설 사제 쌓아요 말해서.
So this is the mind of all the deities. It is this unity of clarity and emptiness. Clarity means that you clearly know that the mind is empty, that there is not a single thought, there's awareness of it. And just rest within this seeing without conceptualizing it, thinking in terms of it is or it isn't, or self and other and so on, without thinking anything. That lucid empty state, that is what we call the nature of the mind, or we call it Mahamudra or Dzogchen or Madhyamaka, the middle way. That's really the ultimate Mahamudra. And the key is that decisiveness. You decide upon it. You know that this is it. You saw it. You saw the nature of the mind. And this seeing of mind is what we call Buddha. And Milarepa said that do not look for the Buddha outside of yourself. Do not search for the Buddha. But Buddha is actually a quality of your own mind.
내가 다왕 토요래 내가 왕조 담색의 정도 담색대 답 담색대 왕자 토나 담색적마다 요 말이 때 가리 그것도 사총 신신제다 사바 재미 검제당 동남랑 거 달라 나지 있으면 때 학원 때 검제 동남고 담색이 그것도 담색 사바 재미가 때 거는 때 사ting 것도 다른 거 제발요 말이 되는데 때 따라때 사탕치 소소 떼거들이 때 답책때 송송네 내가 다사까지 그러다 사참마들 참선 때 기체 보여래 사까지를 왜 싫어 내가 더 사참치 참사제 때를 참선 타주 거에 때라 개인세도 사때가 그때 지체비가 남들이 또 개인 그거래 왕수 제 양설인 거는 하고요. 또 나한테 선마용 같아. 담통 초대죠 말이. 그 삼바 재미있단 되고 해야지.
So now the empowerment is conferred, and at the end it is said the life force of the empowerment is to keep the samaya. And the root samaya of even 100 empowerments is always the same as only one root samaya. And so that is, which is twofold. So on the relative level, the relative samaya is to cultivate bodhicitta, especially cultivate immeasurable love for all sentient beings. And on the ultimate level, the samaya is to know that self and other are inseparable, non-dual. And if you have that rules Samaya, then actually it is the same as really accomplishing the deity. That accomplishes the deity. And it is that Samaya that brings the heart of the deity, of all the deities, into one single essence. So therefore keep it as Samaya in this way. And when you practice a deity, it's therefore very important to understand, no matter which deity you practice, you should understand that all the deities are complete within this one deity. For example, if you practice Tara, you think that all deities are complete within her. All the Buddhas are complete within this one practice. So you have to completely decide upon that. You have to be certain about that. So now when you repeat the commitment, in the commitment we say that I'm going to engage in this specific practice continuously, but then because we have received many empowerments, it's difficult to practice all of them continuously. And so therefore, what you really commit to is to practice continuously your one deity, knowing that all the deities are contained within that one deity, whichever one it is. And so actually also it is said that the highest, the supreme Samaya is to always sustain a state of non-distraction and to cultivate immeasurable love.
소전아 욕배 산제당 산속선밥 탐지다라 공수솔 나라랑 문시제외 근데네 zonde 제시 산중 희보라 치제바르다 사좀 디르지마 예삼자살 종생 대이송아 니레제다 전주 다와죠 전주 다와죠 전주 다와죠.
And for the Samaya, please repeat. All the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas residing in the 10 directions, please heed me. Master, please heed me from today onwards until attaining the essence of enlightenment. I will take up the exalted deity, Kurukulle, as my yidam, and I will recite her mantra daily to whatever extent I am able. I will recite her mantra daily to whatever extent I am able. I will recite her mantra daily to whatever extent I am able.
그래서 담책지 아주 담책 송 말씀들이 담책이 오 사이 담책지 송 사이 나도 자는 다때 담책 냠니지 야때 담책이 랑 로마 핀트 도와주는 담책이 삼제리 삼바다 니지 단디게 니뭐 힘핑을 놓대 대저 조져 바르는 이 참았더니 라마 소미 바 조져 바 마타 보이 담책대도 너는 삼지 봐 하고니 삼지 강는 제가 뒤 삼지 집제를 수박으로 닦고 자고리 뒤 자철들이 담책 진짜 상황을 상하다 사신이가 담책들이 속담사성 담책되는데 되게 뭐래 나랑 그 삼책을 제가 주에 담책을 제가 때 이좀 뭐죠 다 초과자 들이지 어떤 사람이 이제 후지들이 다들이 잡았다들 팔라 이나가 담지 저서 뭐 담대회들이 왜는 너무 처음에는 너무 깜짝거리 뭐 초등부 이다 매라때 작게 배때들 담책 하다 끼지 뭐 담책도 삼지 가와 이렇게 담책 차대요 왜는 호화를 담지 코로 삼지 도비주 삼지 디 담책가 성적이 끼지 뭐래 때때리 당당 담책은 이제 아침 뭐래 들이 주도하는 말을 다 다른 저 통통을 같이 들으셔야지.
So there's maybe sometimes some confusion about what it really means to keep Samaya, and we say we're keeping or not keeping Samaya. But normally we think that Samaya means something like, so now I have to practice this deity, I have to recite this mantra, or I have to do some kind of other recitation. Basically, we think that the practice, the formal practice, is the Samaya, and if you do it, you think that I'm keeping my Samaya. But actually, the real Samaya, the actual Samaya, so all of this is just branch Samaya. The actual Samaya is actually love and compassion. So the actual Samaya actually happens between people, between the disciples, between friends, between the guru and disciples, between a mother and her child, and so forth. The actual Samaya is love and compassion. And altruism is the only antidote to self-grasping. So the actual Samaya must be kept between your companions. So you should really understand that love between each other, among each other, for each other, those surrounding you, that is what it means to keep Samaya. And then in order to protect your love, sustain your love, you need to have patience, otherwise you lose your love. And actually, if you just have that Samaya, you are keeping all your vows. You keep the Samaya of the Vajrayana and of the Bodhisattvas, actually of all the 3 levels of practice. That's most important. It is your connection to others with great love. And you should see that as important. So normally people disregard that and don't think that this is like that important. They don't really see that always being kind or loving is necessarily keeping their Samaya as long as they do their recitations, and then they start fighting with each other and don't get along. But they feel okay about it because they practice the deity. So what happens here is that they are actually throwing away their root Samaya and protecting their branch Samayas. But that in the long run will not be very helpful because, for example, it's like when you want a tree to grow and you don't pour any water into the root, eventually it will dry out, even if you take care of the branches really well. And on the other hand, if you just keep pouring water into the root, even if some of the branches break, it will be fine. It will still keep growing. So that's very important. Wherever you go, in any context, whether it's your Dharma friends or ordinary samsaric context, you always have this Samaya of love. And so to treat your companions, those around you, with love and loving kindness. So protect your Samaya in this way. It's very important. So that's the actual Samaya. And so with that, Dharma friends, this was a short time now, but thank you very much.
Onamde tamches kwani towarni berana maze jigana je balan robaye sepezolen roa jo sanjo semjo Rinpoche maje bana Everybody sangha thank you long la rashi dele dangeshin shejenim
Obrigado, Rinpoche. Uji Rinpoche kutse chapeten sama la
Yo,
chile kahidele.
Rinpoche.
Thank you so much, Rinpoche.
Kadrinche Rinpoche, thank you everybody, thank you all organizers.
Thank you.
And please come tomorrow. There is 9 a.m. Arizona time, and there is 6 p.m. Central European time. We're happy to see you again tomorrow for the precious teachings on the six bardos. Have a wonderful day, and for the another, have a good night, and see you tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Obrigada, Rinpoche. Thank you, Your Eminence. Thank you.
Please live long, Rinpoche.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
Yes, we have so long left.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
Easy, first couple steps. There you go. There you go. You should take breaks. You should take breaks. What's happening for? Pablo?